What's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be going through a breakdown of my most recent fight with Karate Combat. I know so many people out there absolutely love these episodes because I can get in depth on what's actually happening, how I prep for the fight beforehand, and what adjustments I made during the fight to get me that victory. So let's dive right in to this fight breakdown. As we wrap up this year, 2022 comes to a close, I just want to express the gratitude that I have to everybody on the channel who is supporting the content that I am putting out. And in addition, a big thank you to the sponsors of the episodes throughout the year. This episode today is sponsored by BiOptimizers and this magnesium product, which has helped me so much throughout this year, focus in on my sleep, get that on point, and help my recovery, made me feel so much stronger than I have in the past when I was training crazy hard but didn't have active recovery and proper sleep. If you guys want to get on board with taking care of yourself in 2023, make sure you head over to magnesiumbreakthrough.com/Gabriel and use the promo code Gabriel10 to save 10% on my favorite supplement. And let's dive right into this fight. Coming down that pit wall is always a little bit exciting. Just a little bit of a run in. Doesn't matter if it's the first round, the last round for the decision. It's just always a bit of fun. Kind of reminds me of a jungle gym. So here we go at the beginning of the fight. First thing you're gonna note, which most people are very surprised about, is my guard. Many people have this perception that because I'm not using boxing gloves, you can no longer keep your hands tight to your head. This is not something that is going to work with open-handed gloves. But I hope now, after 2 Karate Combat fights and a couple MMA fights, that I've shown it is possible. You just have to be aware of the pros and cons. The pro is, obviously, you don't have to rely on head movement the way you do when your hands are down, or lots of footwork, and both of those are not really my style. I don't like bouncing and moving a whole bunch, and I don't like activating loads of head work. I can do it, yes, but I prefer just to protect like this and stay safe. The con, obviously, is the fact that you don't get the same amount of protection from a boxing glove, and you have to be very aware that you do not close your fist. And I still have not found the actual, in my first Karate Combat fight, what actually cut me, but I think it might have been my own hand bouncing off my head and inflicting the cut. You have to go open palm, so you will notice right at the beginning of this fight that I decide to do this and just try and minimize damage by using sort of that Dutch style guard, which is just like a turtle shell. Now moving on, you're gonna note that Tommy throws some fancy kicks very early on. This was not something which was surprising whatsoever because we took the time to research him beforehand and recognize, what does he do at the beginning of the fight? Well, he comes out and he throws a fancy kick, and then he'll throw another one, and sometimes 3. And this is something that you will see him do not only at the beginning of the first round, but also in the second and third. Are these kicks the most dangerous things in the world? We're talking axe kicks, spinning kicks, hook kicks. No, they are not the most dangerous, but they can definitely do damage if they catch you off guard, or if, like we said with those small gloves, a heel comes around and lands on your jaw. So I just knew at the very beginning that I'd bounce, I'd maintain my distance just outside punch range, and as soon as he moves, I just have to take a little step back and problem solved. None of those fancy kicks are going to land. Right after that, you see him try to throw a fancy kick. I go for the low kick, and I end up upending him, putting him on his back, and right from there I'm able to try and implement the very first ground and pound, which helped me win this fight in dominant fashion. The very interesting thing about these opening moments are they clued me into a new element of the fight which might be beneficial for me. Many people, including Boss Rutan during his commentary, said, oh, Gabriel 100% trained the ground and pound, where in actual fact I didn't do any, except for 30 seconds. One day I put the bag down and I literally did 30 seconds of hitting the bag. But aside from that, it was not trained at all. But I was able to make that adjustment early on, go, oh, he's on his back. Maybe I should get on there. I should assess if this is something that's going to be applicable to me, if I'm going to be able to create damage while staying safe. And this just goes to show you how you have to be able to adapt in the fight to take advantage of where your opponent is weakest. Now, one of the things that I want you to note next is how good Tommy is at taking that step back. I was just talking about myself taking a step back when he throws fancy kicks, but something that I did not get to prep for very well because I only had 2 or 3 weeks to prep up. I think it was 3 weeks to prep up for Tommy, but the last week is really a write-off because you're doing your travel and you're cutting weight. So really 2 weeks of time to be aware of how good karatekas are at stepping backwards in explosive fashion. So if I'm used to coming forward and throwing my jab and having my opponent more or less stay there, all of a sudden you have a new style where guys are taking that step back. They're taking this step back. They're not willing to stand and cover up. And this makes a lot of sense. It does create a very difficult style to engage with and create lots of combos, but at the same time, you have to be ready to backpedal very often. So being able to deal with Tommy taking that quick step back and not rushing things was very important. And we knew that going in, that he was going to step back and I was going to have to chase him. But if I got too aggressive and tried to chase him down, he proved in one of his last fights that he has a sharp counter cross. He stepped back and like Conor McGregor threw that cross in and he dropped his opponent very hard. So recognizing where your strengths and weaknesses of the opponent lie is very important. Now in the first round, there's a lot of feeling out. It's like slow going. I don't want to rush things because I had in my mind that I can beat this guy, that this will be a fight where there shouldn't be too much difficulty in terms of his actual skill level, aside from things going kind of odd stylistically. But I knew if I took my time, I felt him out, I didn't rush things, the chance of him landing a shot that would knock me out would be so low. So that's why you saw me slow things down. But then midway through the round, he tries to do a sweep. I get behind him. I'm able to implement that slam, do a little crossface to stop him from getting back up and then get that knee on belly. This was not a perfect takedown execution and definitely not perfect in holding him there, but it gave me more confidence that, oh, okay, yes, this is something that I can try and utilize. And now just a moment later, I'm able to put that into play again because he tries to get fancy and he ends up putting himself against that pit wall, unable to defend himself effectively. Now, one of the things that we have to note about spinning kicks, which I've known my whole life, but I got to prep up for this fight, is if you jam a spinning kick, it can be very difficult for those to land. And what we actually did, I was at Martial Arts Unlimited and I had 3 guys who were helping me prep for this fight, and I would have 1 and 2 and 3. And this was actually a drill one of these, the head coach at Martial Arts Unlimited came up with. He said, this guy's going to throw a spinning technique at you, and then you're going to turn to this guy. And he's going to throw a spinning technique or something fancy at you, and then you're going to turn to this guy. And I just went through on a straight 3-minute round of people doing Brazilian kicks, tornado kicks, faking spinning hook kicks into something else, just all sorts of ridiculous things. And what I managed to really wrap my head around is I either have to step backwards or I have to step forwards. If I decide to just stand here and cover up, that's when you're at a real risk. So if you see somebody throwing a spinning technique, remember now is the time to implement footwork. And I was able to demonstrate just how effective that is in that last clip. Moving into round number 2, just like I said for the last round, watch for the fancy kicks. He comes with the side kick, he comes with the hook kick, able to control both of those, stay safe, just because of that understanding that this is something which he would do. Now here we see his back foot pinned up against the pit wall. This is again an unexplored area because the pit is new to most of these fighters. So if you have somebody who lifts their foot up, you know they're able to explode off. It's like a sprinter's block where you have that extra momentum to push off. As soon as I saw him do that, I recognized if I take that step in and I rush things, he's going to come at me with his already explosive offense, and he's probably going to double his speed and come with real power. So I had to be very careful in that moment, recognizing, look at his foot, is it on the floor or is it up against the pit wall? What might he do with that? Make sure I'm being smart and not just doing what I would normally do when somebody has 2 feet planted on the floor. And right here we see a clash of heads. Now I don't need to really break down what happened in terms of the head clash because you guys know what happened. 2 heads come together, they meet, somebody takes a cut. What I do want to focus on, however, is being able, as I've talked about, to make adjustments and not get panicked in a fight when things are not going your way. So now all of a sudden, I won the first round, second round, nothing major has happened enough yet where one person is definitively winning, but all of a sudden you have blood streaming down your face. And it's very easy to get panicked by that because you're going, oh, what happens if it opens further? What happens if they stop the fight? What happens if that starts impairing my vision? There are so many scenarios which are negative with a cut. But if you're able to stay calm and focus in on, look at, the fight is still the fight. Nothing has really changed aside from the fact that I'm gonna have a little bit of blood coming down my face, but this has happened enough to me where I've had headbutts or shots that have landed over my eye line where it actually impairs my vision, that having blood come down the middle of my face, down my nose, is not a big deal. So just remember sometimes that it's so important to be able to stay calm. And this is actually something my brother said to me, or said to a group of people after the fight. He said, Gabriel is one of the easiest people to corner because he's actually able to listen to instructions. Whereas many people in the corner don't seem to retain information, they cannot make the adjustments. If you're able to listen to your corner when they tell you something, actually do it, go back into the ring or the cage or the pit and execute. That's the reason you have cornermen. And my brother, in that moment, able to say to me, you know what, just stay calm, stay focused. And I go, okay, that's what I have to do. And then go execute. Very important thing to remember. And interestingly, my brother did call for potential headbutts in this fight, the threat of them, because the way he charges with his head down. So I was a little upset after this, just because I'd known that it was going to be a threat. But I went, he did this, not intentionally, but without caution. So you can see right here now, I get a little upset, and now I start letting those shots in the ground and pound area fly and banging to the body, because Tommy was doing a good job covering up to the head, but the body's open. Again, adjustments in the moment, in the middle of punching, go, oh, body, slam it. Now I want to take a look at this clip here, because it's a good representation of what to do when somebody's very fast, being able to walk through their speedy punches, to be able to land your own, and in this instance, get some ground and pound in. It's a fantastic thing if you're fighting somebody faster than yourself. So what I mean by that is, if I know that I stand here and the guy just throws on me and then he's gone, or I try to enter, he counters and he's gone. What I can often do is just post a guard up and just walk and eat a couple shots, granted, off those forearms, but then be at that distance where now I can dominate, because speed, in my opinion, is only effective from that super long range. Once we start getting into here, it's not so effective, because even if the guy's fast and he's twitching off little shots, the other opponent on the flip side can be staying tight and landing now the power shots. And that's what I was going for. I was looking to close that distance, not outspeed Tommy, but land the more dangerous, power-inflicting shots. And the final clip I want to look at here is the first time I got a really good counter off and I spin Tommy around with a knockdown. He throws, I counter back. This is what my brother had been asking for, and this is why you need to work counters in the gym. If you don't work counters and you're not used to taking a shot and responding quickly, there's that lag time between somebody throws, you block, you wait a moment, and then you throw back, but they're already gone. What we need to do is have somebody throw a shot at us where we block and we respond. We block and there's a response. And it's kind of that same beat which you would have if you were throwing shots on pads or on a bag. It's not 1, 2, 3, it's 1, 2, 3, same thing. You throw a shot, block, and you come back. Always maintaining that same beat, even if it's give and take, give and take. We don't want I throw, pause, they throw, pause, I throw. It's I throw, they throw, I throw, they throw, I throw, that fast pace back and forth. Just have somebody, if you're looking to improve your drilling here, have somebody throw a hook at you. Block, counter, fast, block, counter. Other way, block, uppercut, block, uppercut. You just get that speedy momentum happening. My brother said if I countered him, I would land. And at the end of that second round, he was 100% right. Had there been more time left on the clock, I think that would have been the end of the fight. And now we move into the third and final round. Again, same thing. Predictable, he comes out, he throws some fancy kicks. I maintain my distance, I make him hit air, nothing else. He's still fast though. still dangerous. Never take people for granted, never feel too confident, because that's when things can come and really hurt you. And people always love fancy kicks. I knew Tommy would end up reaching for techniques, so I kind of faked down to the body, come up to the head, land that Brazilian kick. It was more toes landing, but still ends up being effective and a cool looking technique. A couple more inches, could have been a knockdown. Now I want to focus on this next little clip here where I literally push Tommy down to the floor. It makes me look so much bigger and stronger than him. And let me tell you, for this fight, for the very first time in my entire fight career, I've actually started lifting weights. I've tried to get actively stronger. It did not go super well at first, not in the sense that I was not getting stronger, but in the sense I was not seeing weight gain on the scale. But towards the end of camp, I actually got on the scale when I started my weight cut and went, whoa, look at that. I'm almost at 160 pounds, which for me is 5 pounds heavier than I usually walk around at. In addition, after the weight cut where I hit 150, I was able to get my weight back up to 160, which is spectacular because pretty much through my whole Bellator fight career, especially when I was with Glory dropping down to 143, I could very rarely crack 152 pounds. I felt quite skinny, still had lots of energy, but not that power. So now hopefully getting back to 160, or maybe even for the next one, up to 165 after weighing at 150 pounds, I hope this will make that difference so that if I do go to shove people or I do start hitting people, they feel that power. This was weight training 2 times a week for 1 hour each session. That's it. But it's a world of difference for me in terms of my body feeling that much stronger. And now pretty much the story for the rest of the third round is me getting Tommy down. I know there's a blueprint to beat this guy. I know if I get him to the floor, he's going to be unable to deal with the technique of defending himself. So I'm basically just trying to get in that distance where I crowd him, I put his back up against the pit wall, and I start slamming that body. This fight to me is one I'm exceptionally proud of. Not necessarily because Tommy was the most dangerous fighter in the promotion, but because I was able to make those adjustments mid-fight go, you know what? I didn't do any ground and pound, but it looks like it's working. Let's alter the game plan, which was going to be more put pressure on him, get him up to that wall and then work. I figured as soon as I got to that point, things would be good for me. But once he falls back to the pit wall, before what we had planned was just step back, tell him to get up, and then get back in and work away. In this instance, little adjustment, went, oh, okay, he's not defending himself well, I might as well take advantage, and hopefully he'll tire down, and then I'll get back to those good combos standing up. But we never needed to get there because we were just being so successful with the ground and pound. So that is my summary, my breakdown of my most recent fight at Karate Combat 37. I have to say, I love what this promotion is doing because they are reaching out to a new audience, I feel, you know, the karatekas of the world who might not necessarily want to watch MMA or kickboxing, but really love karate. Now, the rule set is a little different than the other sports, but overall, it's not so different that those people who love MMA or kickboxing are going to go, ooh, that karate stuff, it's not real, we're not going to watch it. No, this is 100% real, this is 100% raw. It is an absolute fight where people are coming out trying to knock each other out. There's no points, there's not like that. So to me, this karate promotion, Karate Combat, could grow, could become enormous, especially if people continue to love Cobra Kai and the karate throughout the world continues to just develop so much more. Very interesting to me, very exciting, very happy to be part of this promotion, and they are doing good things, and I only have good things to say so far about them. Remember, if you want to get your sleep, your recovery on point, head over to magnesiumbreakthrough.com/Gabriel and use that promo code Gabriel10 to save 10%. 2023 is right around the corner. I know many people are all about resolutions, New Year's resolutions. For me, I'm more, I want to get things done right now. I don't like waiting until a new year starts to get things underway, goals I have. So if you're motivated, why bother waiting till January? Just click right up there and you can get your magnesium, the supplement, which I love the most, right now. If you guys enjoyed this episode, you enjoyed the breakdown, please give the video a like. If you have not already, join the channel and get subscribed. As always, train hard. I will see you back here soon for another episode.